Before we get everything underway on today's Philadelphia 76ers Now, I need you to name one player that needs to step up for the Sixers to make an NBA Finals run. Do that right now, and let's talk some Sixers hoops. Now, I asked you that question to start off today's show because coming up on today's 76ers Now, 3 players that need to step up in order for the 76ers to make a deep playoff run. I'm Chase Sr., so glad that all of you are hanging out with us. I know there are so many content options out there, so anytime you decide to watch us, we're certainly appreciative of that. This list coming up is not going to include Joel Embiid or Tyrese Maxey. Maxey an all-star for the first time. Joel Embiid has been injured, and he's doing everything in his power to get back before the end of the regular season so that the Sixers can climb up the Eastern Conference playoff standings and hopefully do something once the postseason comes around. And what do you know? The first player that we're going to talk about who needs to step up is Tobias Harris. Shout out to the commenter the other day who called him the Cookie Monster because he's just stealing cash right now. Harris's numbers so far in the 2023-2024 season: 17.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, almost 50% from the floor, and 35% from 3. Those numbers would be okay if Joel Embiid was playing and Tyrese Maxey was also on the floor, sharing the floor with Embiid as well as himself. So that would be your 3-headed combination right there. But Maxey has missed some time. Embiid has been out for a while. The Sixers have desperately needed Tobias Harris to do more for a man who's making nearly $40 million. Yet, he continues to wane in and out of the production type of conversation, and he continues to be an absolutely maddening player. And it's unfortunate because when Tobias Harris plays well, Sixers win games. When he just scores 20 or more points in a basketball game, the Sixers are 13-7. When Tobias Harris scores under 20 points, Philadelphia falls to 14-17. It's great when he has a game like he did last weekend on Sunday against the Dallas Mavericks. Awesome, right? But where is that from a consistent basis? And I'm tired of hearing he might just be pressing because it's a contract issue. My man's making nearly $40 million. To me, that's unacceptable. If I was getting paid a lot here and I was getting nervous and I was having awful shows here on 76ers Now, you know what my bosses would say? I know you're pressing a little bit. We'll take care of you. You're going to get your money. No, they'd say, Chase, what the hell is wrong with you? Get back on track. Start hosting your shows. You've been dreaming of doing this since you were 5 years old. No more excuses. And the 76ers, 7 wins in the 2023 playoffs. Look at the numbers for Harris as compared to their 4 losses. And this is a big part of the conversation that we're having because of the Sixers' win-loss record when he scores 20 or more or 20 or less. 17.7 points per game in those wins, 8 rebounds, 54% from the floor, 44% from deep. In their 4 losses, and obviously that last loss ended up being a killer. The points per game goes down to 11. Rebounds go down by 3. Assists per game goes down by 1. Shooting percentage goes down by 7 percentage points. And the 3-point numbers go down by more than 50% to 21.4. Tobias Harris in the fourth quarter of Game 6 against Boston, not a single shot attempt. You know what that tells me? You're scared. And you know what Boston did? They smelled blood. And they went after that prey like a shark in the open water. And Harris, as we know, on that aforementioned expiring contract, this really is his last chance. And I thought it was pretty funny after the Sixers lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. Kyle Neubeck was asking, and other reporters were asking Nick Nurse about Tobias Harris. And you could just tell Nick Nurse was like, oh, we're doing this again. I get it. I'm frustrated too. That was his body language. He didn't actually say that, but you could tell he was just so done with talking about Harris. And there's just no way the Sixers are going to bring him back. He's going to go down as one of the most overpaid and overrated players that the Sixers have had, maybe in franchise history. So your confidence level in Tobias Harris to step up in the postseason. Yeah, we're actually asking you that question because I need you to scale it from 1 to 10. I'm not confident at all, and I'm with a lot of people out there. Producer Chip, I know you're not confident. The Jekyll and Hyde nature of Tobias Harris's game, it really just it makes you want to pull your hair out. It really does.
It's unbelievable that after all this time, after all these years, we're still talking about the same thing when it comes to Tobias. And if I had to rank my confidence that he's going to step up in the postseason, I'm giving it a 3, and that might be being generous.
It's generous.
It's a contract year. I know he wants to get paid again, and look, some bad team is probably going to fork up $25+ million for him regardless. But man, you have a chance in a contract year with no Embiid to step up and show you can be consistent. We haven't seen that this year. He'll have games here and there, whatever. I don't see how you can say, based on what you've seen from Tobias this year, that he can be consistent enough in a 7-game series to give you the production you need to win games and make it to the conference finals, much less the NBA finals.
And thanks to Bill Simmons for this reference, which we've used here on the show, and a lot of people use it. Tobias Harris is a classic example of a good stats, bad team player, where he's going to go to a mediocre team. He's going to average 20 points per. He's going to shoot 45-40 for his splits. But for a good team, he's going to come up small in some of those big moments. Player to step up number 2, thanks to the Zen God Chip for being on the show here. That's DeAnthony Melton. Now, this isn't because DeAnthony Melton has played bad basketball or he has cost this team or shot this team in the foot. Really, it just comes down to him staying healthy. And I know that the shooting numbers that we've talked about here on the show, and we'll do further analysis on DeAnthony Melton here in just a moment, certainly aren't great, but at least he's not scared of the moment. At least he's not getting paid nearly $40 million. And for him, it comes down to injuries here. So, suffered a spine injury January 12th, returned more than a month later, February 23rd, played just 3 games. Unfortunately, he then re-aggravated the injury, and he's beginning the offloading period. He's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. Sixers have missed his defensive tenacity. He was starting games for this team. For him, contract year as well. He's missing out on a really good opportunity to maybe prove that he can be a starter on a playoff club. Chip and I have kind of talked about him being this team's Derek White to a certain degree. Again, the shooting number's not great. 39% from the deck, 36% from 3. That'll play 11.5 points, but he makes up for it with some really solid defense. And him, like Harris, when he played well in the playoffs, Sixers were winning. 7 wins for Philadelphia. There's 9 points per game, 45% shooting, 45% from 3. And then in the 4 losses, you could just tell, struggling to find a rhythm. 6 points per game, 27% from the floor, about 28% from 3-point range. And that pivotal Game 6 against Boston, you had Joel Embiid not getting the ball down the stretch. You had James Harden kind of shying away from the moment, as oftentimes he does in some of those big moments. He just craters and clenches up. 24 minutes for DeAnthony Melton in that game. 0 points, 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3. That was so unfortunate. I thought the Sixers had it. 3 minutes left. We're doing a watch party here on the show, and I'm like, wow, 76ers are finally going to do it. They're going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then Jason Tatum went nuclear, hitting a couple of threes in the eye hole of Tobias Harris. Now, Melton has to step up defensively, too. He does have a lot of potential and ability on that end of the floor because he can guard point guards, he can guard 2 guards, he can guard some wings from time to time because of the length. But the defense and the offense combo, if he's playing to his caliber, that's the type of player that the Sixers have missed here as they've struggled of late. Kelly Oubre Jr. at number 3. He's had a couple of monster games of late, 30-piece. And that's kind of the nature of what Kelly Oubre Jr. will give you at this point. He'll go off one night, and then he can't hit the broadside of a barn on the next night, and that's why he's a bench player. That's why a lot of teams didn't sign him up until late in the free agency period. I know he got off to that awesome start early in the year and then had that weird car-bike incident or whatever the hell happened that night in Philadelphia Center City. 14 points per game this year, 45% from the floor. And unfortunately for him, he just continues to be mightily inconsistent from three-point range. The number's actually down from what they've been over the last couple of years, 30.5%. He needs to hit threes to be his most effective self. And I think that his game has struggled a little bit, and it's gone downhill without Joel Embiid in the lineup because Embiid just offered so many open opportunities for other players on the deck when he was playing alongside them. In October, 31% from three. So he started off good and then tailed off. November, though, 43%. December, 36%. Then Embiid starts to get hurt and injured. January, February, March. And the numbers are struggling to get past 27%. It's somewhat concerning that he also hasn't played in the playoffs since 2017-2018, and he was not particularly good, although he was young that year. 18 playoff games for him on his resume, 7 points per, 40% from the floor, and then 31% from three. So pretty much as far as the shooting numbers there go, around his career averages. Chip, your thoughts on Oubre and just what he has to bring to the table and just what you think about him.
Yeah, look, to me, Oubre is probably going to be that one of those first guys off the bench, right? Imagine they're starting Tobias and Batum on the wings. He is going to be very important. He's going to have to be able, as we said, to be efficient and hit threes. And he's shown flashes defensively. He's very athletic, of course. We've seen a few monster dunks the past few games against the Mavs. The thing with him, he's sometimes, as we said, another one of those players. He has his highs, he has his lows. We need these type of players like Tobias, like Oubre, to find that middle ground, be solid, be steady, don't shoot them out of games. I can't have Oubre shooting 25% from three in a series, I don't need him scoring 15, 20 a game. Give me 12 points, some decent defense, make even 36% of your threes,
be awesome.
And we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Philadelphia here. You look at the Eastern Conference, and Boston's been awesome. It seems like it's their year, although I'm hoping that they choke once again. Bucks in that 2 spot, and then after that, it's free game. It's wide open, but the Heat are surging. Cavaliers, been hot. You need a De'Anthony Melton, a Tobias Harris, a Kelly Oubre Jr. to all step up, in addition to Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid playing really good basketball as well. Who has to have the biggest impact? Talked about those 3 players here. Harris, Melton, Oubre. Let us know in the chat. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic weekend.